Hello, my name is Michelle Schroeder, and this is the Asana class for the Yoga Therapy for Shoulders and Wrists workshop. For this Asana class, you will need a belt. So, depending on how your belt is, you will want to loop it up. So, the easiest way to do that is to find, if you do have a logo on it, have the strap and the buckle so it's facing up. Then hold it and slide your hand all the way along the strap. You're going to put the strap up through the bottom and down through the outside. This will make sure that the teeth grab the strap so the strap doesn't kind of come undone. So one thing we're going to do before we start the asana class is just to find the distance of our strap that we will need. We will use this to explore integrity in the shoulders. And so what you want to do is when I've got a strap, I kind of call this the tail. So you're going to let the tail of your strap hang down. Then you're going to put the strap around your forearms. So anywhere from about 1.5 inches to 2 inches above your elbows. And you will find this in yourself of where it feels comfortable. You're going to allow your arms to come out. You're going to lean out into the strap, and you want to find a place where you feel that you have a little resistance, but that you also feel spacious in your chest. So you don't want the strap too far apart, but you don't want the strap compressing your sternum. So I feel like I just need a little bit more space, so I'm just going to open mine a tiny bit. Okay, and recheck again. So take a moment. Oh, that feels better. So I feel like I have spaciousness across my collarbones, which we want our collarbones to be wide. Okay, but we want to feel this resistance from the strap that help us keep our shoulder blades anchored down. Okay, so once you've found that, you can put that off to the side. We will do some foot rolling tonight or today in the class. So some of you may find that you have a rubber ball, maybe even a little one. This is a squash ball. We will use this on Sunday if you have one. If you don't have one, that's okay. These are really great. You can get them from Sport Check. You just go in and get a squash ball. A lot of them will have dots on it. You can see this one has a yellow dot. So you can get a yellow dot or a blue dot. It doesn't really make any difference to us because we're just using them for releasing the fascia. Okay, you might also have a little spiky ball. Okay, it could be a little bit bigger. So any type of ball, we're going to be using this in different ways to release the fascia, rolling out the feet. And this is what we call a slow-mo ball at Asana. So it has a little plug that you can pull out. You can inflate it and deflate it. These are sometimes also called fitness balls. They're about 10 inch in diameter. This one is from tunupfitness.com, so it's called the Gorgeous Ball. So these are balls that we use quite a bit in our training, so this is optional. If you do have one, great. Okay, mine's at about 80% to 90% capacity, okay, so it has a little bit of flex to it. If you also have a bolster, then you can grab that, and if you don't have a slow-mo ball, then you can grab a 4-inch thicker block. So my block is behind me, and we are going to start standing. So I'm just going to get a few things set up here as we get settled. And putting the balls off to the side. So I'm going to use a wooden stick for my foot rolling, but feel free, if you have a ball, to use that to roll out your feet. So one of the things we're going to do is just stand in equal standing to start. Okay, so this is Samasthiti. So just noticing the touch of your feet on the mat, taking a few breaths, whether this is in and out of your nose or in your nose and out your mouth. You'll see from time to time my assistant coming to join us. This is Squeaker. Noticing as your feet touch the mat, Where is the attention on your feet? How is your breath? It maybe needs to go out the mouth a couple times. You may feel that you just want to breathe in and out of the nose. And as you notice the distribution of weight on your feet. So do you feel the whole rim of your heel, the very center of your heel? What's different from left to right? So you can see in my body, I like to sway a little bit and roll around just to explore. So you might do this as well. You might also notice which toes are connecting to the mat and which ones are not. So feeling the connection to the mat and the earth. So ideally we want about 60% of our weight in our heels and about 40% in our toes and the big toe mound and the pinky toe mound. And then I also want you to feel the relationship of the earth and the mat rising up to meet your feet. So as we take note of this relationship, I want you to think of the shoulder girdle. So looking at this in our body, we feel the feet, the legs, the pelvis coming up into our rib cage, and then we have the chest, the shoulders, elbows, forearms, wrist, hand. Okay, above that we have the neck and the head. So when we look at the shoulders, they are on the top chain of the body, which means we have to think about what is creating integrity for the shoulders. So one of the things that creates integrity for the shoulders is our core. And sometimes when we think of the core, we kind of think of this area of the body, this being the core, which is true. This is the core of the body. But thinking more of the body as a whole. So when we think of the core, I'd like you just to shift your perspective a little bit and think of a core line through the body. So this is from Thomas Meyer's Anatomy Trains. This was part of your pre-watching. And this is the deep front core line. So this starts at your feet. So on the soles of the feet, it comes up the back of the calves into our deep calf muscles. It comes through on the inside of the knees. It gathers up through the inner thighs, the adductors, floats into the whole area of the pelvic floor, moves into the psoas, comes up through the diaphragm, through the inner core of the rib cage, okay, up through the sides of the neck, and the core line ends in our mouth, the area of the tongue. So we feel this relationship of inner stability as a core line. So you can feel as you're standing here this inner awareness of rooting down. As we feel this rooting down into the earth, there's a letting go. And from that, there's a pressing that creates a rebound. So we can think of this rebound, this lift, and the lifting comes from the pressing down after we surrender, and we feel the inner arches lift. So in yoga, we call this pada bandha, pada being the foot, bandha being the lift. Okay, then the inner core line of the inner thighs gathering. So one way of feeling this is you can grab your block, you can grab your slow-mo ball if you have one, and just place it in between the inner thighs. Okay, and then gently as you press down, feel the feet, just surrender, let the knees bend, exhale. As you root down, feel this lifting up of the inner arches, the gentle gathering of the inner thighs, feeling like you're drawing the block or the slow-mo ball back. You feel a little internal rotation of the thighs. Okay. This will allow the pelvic floor to start to lift, and you can almost think of this cord, like you're pulling your cord up. You feel the rib cage knit. So one thing that happens is we need to maintain the relationship between the ribs and the hips. So one thing that happens is the pelvis starts to come out of neutral. So one way is sometimes we kind of tuck the tailbone under, we squeeze and we overactivate the glutes. normally the glute maximus. Okay, and maybe we feel kind of a disruption in the alignment of the body from this. You might feel that you lock your knees. The other way is we start to anterior tilt our pelvis. So when we do that, the rib cage pops and it also kind of flares open. And in here is our power center. So this is Manipura, our third chakra. So we want to feel as we exhale that we knit the ribs together. Exhale, knitting the ribs. So there's a gathering here. Not so much that we gather and we hunch, but just a gathering so we can feel this inner lift. One sound that I find is helpful in gathering is this SH sound. So we're going to do this together. Inhale through the nose. And as you exhale, just produce the sound shh. So you're going to do that 3 times at your own pace, just noticing the ribs knitting together. As you inhale, see if you can inhale to the side and the back of the ribs a little bit more. As you exhale, this gathering. One more time. Sometimes people also feel touching the lower ribs to the hips, feeling like you almost have like a little cord or a bow or a little tie here that keeps this kind of gathering. So that's another way to think about it. And you want to think about this core line coming up and out the crown of the head. Sometimes thinking that you're suspended from the ceiling is really helpful. When we have our core, okay, the shoulders can rest on this inner support of the core. So this is really super important for the stability and the integrity of the shoulders. The other thing is keeping the collarbone wide and noticing the scapula, okay, or shoulder blade. This is the anchor of the movement of the shoulder. So as we reach the arm up and down, you can feel the shoulder blade kind of wings away from the spine. And sometimes we feel the ball of the shoulder, which is a ball in a socket, the ball of the shoulder kind of pull away from the socket. And this has us hit this bone on the top, which is called our acromion. It's like the shelf of the shoulder. And there's the supraspinatus muscle, which is part of the rotator cuff, is there. There's also the tendon that attaches that can start to rub and irritate. If we tend to kind of reach up and have this a habit where we pull the relationship of the ball of the shoulder out of the socket, then we can harm the shoulder and the shoulder girdle, leading to a lot of shoulder injuries. So if we just exhale and we let the shoulder kind of relax a little bit, you can feel it drop into a relationship with the socket. So the socket of the shoulder is quite small. Okay, it's a pear-shaped, so we'll talk a little bit more about this on Friday night. But the top part of the glenoid, when you reach the arm up, it tends to pull up to the upper part of the glenoid socket, which is a lot more shallow. So what we want to do is kind of draw the shoulder blade down our back, which draws the shoulder, the ball of the shoulder, into the bottom part of the glenoid, which is deeper and more stable. So it's important that we think of the shoulder blade being the anchor of our movement. And these bottom tips that are closest to the spine, we want to think of them gathering in towards the spine. So as we lift our arms up and down, there's a drawing down of the shoulder blades down your back. Okay, the serratus muscle, specifically the lower kind of part of the serratus, which goes from our first to our ninth rib. Okay, the mid and lower trapezius muscle. We think of this drawing down the back. Okay, keeping the relationship of the ball of the shoulder in the socket. Okay, so we're gonna just think of that as we release. So we're gonna just roll out our feet. So we're gonna do a little foot rolling. So whichever foot you want to stand on, okay, you're going to bend your knee, ground into that foot. So take that exhale and start to roll your foot over the ball or whatever you're using. I'm using a little ribbed wooden dowel roller on my foot. So thinking of this inner core line lifting up as if you have this string. Breathing here. Feeling spacious but connected at the same time. Okay, so after you roll through the entire sole of the foot to wake it up, just take a moment and explore through your foot of what you need. So you might roll through the heel. You might find spaces or parts of the inner arch that feel a little bit tight. Sometimes you might even pause and press down into the dowel or your ball as you exhale and inhale up. You can also do a little pin onto the ball and do what we call a little twist. So this kind of grabs the plantar fascia in the foot and releases it by kind of wringing the fascia out. When we wring the fascia out, it releases the moisture from the fascia, and then when we let go, it hydrates it twice as much. Okay, and then you want to bring the ball up to the upper part of the foot. Okay, and then you just want to let your toes wrap around the ball. So you can feel the top part of your foot opening up, and then come back to equal standing. So I'm a little bit on an angle to you. I'll move back just so that you can see my whole body. Feel your breath, and then just finish rolling out the entire sole of the foot. Beautiful. Take a moment to notice how you feel. Okay, then we're going to do the same thing on our other foot. So putting the ball underneath the other foot, take a moment to exhale, settle. Okay, ground into your standing foot, and then roll through the other foot. And just rolling through, just to notice how you feel in this foot. When we release the fascia on the sole of our foot, it releases the back of the calves, the thighs, the hips, all the way through the spine, the muscles along the spine, all the way around, and wraps around our head and ends at this release right in between our eyebrows. So in Thomas Meyer, this is called our back line, our superficial back line. So thinking of the body a little bit more as a whole, okay, so whole body, mind and spirit. So we can segment the body to look at what's happening in a specific area, but noticing sometimes where we feel pain or a discomfort in the body or the injury, it might not be coming from that area. We might need to work on a different part of the area to create integrity so that area can kind of release and come into alignment and we don't feel so much sensation. Okay, so just work through your foot like you did the other side. Okay, going through inner arch, going through the top. Beautiful. And then you're going to release that. Just pause. Okay, just take a moment just to reach up one arm. Just notice how you feel. Reach up the other arm. See if you can keep your shoulder blade anchored. Notice that connection of the ribs, this gathering here, which is really important. So we're going to lie down now. We're going to go into what we call conscious rest. I'm just going to move my mat a little bit more forward towards you. Sometimes this pose of conscious rest is called constructive rest as well. So conscious rest or constructive rest, both are great. So this means our knees are bent. The feet are hip width apart. Just noticing how our body touches the floor, the earth, and feeling how the earth is rising up to support the body. Placing one hand on the belly and one hand on the heart. Just going to come into our 3-part breath, Dirga Pranayama. I also like to call the three-part breath the radiant breath. So as it radiates through all sides of the body. So just another way to describe this. We're going to notice our diaphragm muscle, which rests right underneath the lungs. Okay, and each time we inhale, the diaphragm releases down towards the belly. The belly and the ribs expand. And as we exhale, the diaphragm lifts back up and the belly and the ribs gather. Feeling your body expand three-dimensionally as we take a moment just to feel the breath and notice this place of our heart, the center of our being, the center of our energetic system, Anahata, which is the fourth chakra. This place of gratitude and compassion and forgiveness and love. You might create a little sankalpa or intention here with one of the qualities of the heart. Just taking a moment to pause as you consciously are aware of the breath and the movement of your diaphragm. Maybe a sense of gratitude. Noticing that your breath is easeful, so we're not forcing anything. We're receiving the breath as we expand on the inhale, and then there's a letting go, a release on the exhale. As we inhale and receive the breath, the diaphragm lowers down towards the navel, and as we exhale, the diaphragm lifts back up to rest under the lungs as the belly and the ribs and the chest soften. Beautiful. We're going to release the arms out to the side. Inhale, reaching them straight up, crossing the arms over top of the chest in a way that feels good for you. Take a moment to just open and close the hands. Sometimes we hold a lot of tension in the hands and the wrists. Okay, so just take a moment and then open the hands and then just let them soften. Okay, so you're not really closing them anymore, but you're just letting them soften in an openness. Notice your shoulder blades widening on the floor. As you inhale, can you breathe into the back door of the heart, that space in between the shoulder blades, and allow that space to widen? And as you exhale, soften. And just doing that a couple times. We want to make sure that we keep this space open, so we're not over-engaging the rhomboids, squeezing the shoulder blades too much towards the spine, but we're keeping a spaciousness, so we're aligning the front and back body. This arm position also helps to release the diaphragm. Okay, the leg position helps to release the psoas muscle, which is one of our hip flexors, part of the core. Okay, we're going to use a different breath, which is called the S breath, the S. Okay, this connects us to our pelvic floor and it helps us to gauge the core line. So you're going to take an inhalation, and when you exhale, you're going to feel your tongue press against the back of your teeth, and you're going to make the S sound. Notice your pelvic floor softly gathering, lifting up. And as you inhale, release, allow the diaphragm to lower down. The pelvic floor will also open and widen and lower down as it is another dome of the body. And each time you exhale, create that S sound. One more time. So we had the SH sound to knit the ribs together, the S sound to connect to the pelvic floor. I want you to notice which arm is on top. You're going to inhale, reaching out, forearms, fingers, shoulders, reaching the arms out to the side. Take a moment to look to make sure that your thumbs are not higher than the shoulders. Okay, keeping both shoulder blades anchored on the mat. Okay, then you're going to inhale, reach up, and then you're going to cross your other arm on top. So you're just going to go through this flow, inhale, reaching up, out to the side. Exhale as you arrive out to the side. Then inhale back up and exhale as you cross the arms. Just flow through at your own rhythm, inhaling, exhaling out to the side. Inhaling and exhaling out to the side. If you feel like you want to bring in the SH sound or the S sound in this movement, feel free. For me, I like to do the SH sound when I bring my arms up to the side because I can feel one of my shoulder blades lifting off the floor. So when I do the SH sound, it drops my shoulder blade back down to the floor and just kind of creates this connection through my left side that is not there for me. Beautiful. So once you've finished exploring this, just draw the legs in towards the chest. Give them a little hug, roll around. Bring the arms and legs up into the air, shake them out. Okay, we're going to do a few ankle and wrist circles. Go the other way. Just go nice and slow here. It's not about how many circles you do, but more so the integrity of the movement. Okay, so we're going to go into a little side release, just to release the lats and the serratus muscle. So you might find that you need a bolster. Sometimes for some people, having a bolster overhead, I'm just going to roll down a little bit, is helpful. Okay, so you might need to find conscious rest again, push down through the feet, just bring your hands and sweep them up over the lower back and the pelvis. It just creates length in the lower back, and as you lower down, then you lengthen the legs. Okay, find this connection of your ribs, this SH. Inhale, exhale, bring your arms up overhead. So I'm going to bring the bolster a little bit closer. You're going to walk your legs over to the right, and then maybe the upper body comes over as well. Keep knitting the ribs. You might find the SH breath or the S breath is really helpful. You can even cross your left ankle over your right to receive the iliotibial band. Feel the shoulder blades draw down your back. As the shoulder blades draw down, you feel that bottom tip kind of draw down like a string towards the pelvis and in towards the spine. Feel the movement of the diaphragm as you hold this here. Remember, back off. This can be done with one arm if you have a shoulder injury, or no arms, or no crossing of the legs. Beautiful. You're going to release the legs, come back to center, notice how you feel. Switching sides, doing the legs first. Okay, no strain in the lower back. Okay, upper body may come over. So you're creating this C shape. You may cross the right ankle over the left if that feels okay. You can just start without it and then maybe move into it. We are working the fascia, so sometimes it takes a moment to Allow the fascia to rehydrate. I like to bring in the SH breaths. For me, this breath helps to knit my ribs together, and I find this really helpful, especially when the arms are overhead. If your lats are really tight, it will tend to anterior tilt your pelvis, which means your pelvis will tilt forward. You'll feel compression in your lower back. Feel the shoulder blades drawing down. Breathe into the side body. This is our serratus muscle from the 1st to the 9th rib, and it feeds into the shoulder blade. So this is a really important muscle to help to anchor the shoulder blades down. Beautiful. You're going to come back to center. Release. Just going to move my bolster off to the side. Okay, so you're either going to grab your slow-mo ball if you have it, or a block. I'll use the block because I know some of you might not have the slow-mo ball. I like to use the slow-mo ball in between the inner thighs, but I know it's not always available to everybody. So you're going to place your block in between the inner thighs. So notice you can have it in between the inner knees, the middle of the thigh, or closer to the pelvic floor. So it depends what works for you. I like to turn it kind of in a more vertical position, so I get the more of the length of my thigh. Okay, arms are out to the side, palms are down. Okay, relax the shoulder blades. Little external rotation of the front of the shoulders. They'll help to anchor the shoulder blades down. Okay, feel a gentle gathering of the block as you exhale. Find your S breath. And allow the legs to come up. So I'm just going to adjust my block here for a moment. Okay, I want a little bit of active quality in your foot, so it's not fully pushing through the heels, okay? It's not pushing through the toes, but it's a little bit in between. Okay, so I have a little bit of flex of the feet, but my toes are still reaching through. So I've got some active quality, kind of rolling my thighs in. Okay, so you're going to find this core line. We're going to do our core twist. This is from the tensegrity repair series. I'm just modifying this with taking out the arms. So we're going to exhale over to the right, so I'm coming towards you. Okay, so you want to feel the ribs knitting, that gathering of the block pulling up on your inner string. Some of you might use the S breath or the SH breath, so whatever works for you. Inhale through center, and then you're going to exhale to the other side. Shoulders and shoulder blades are going to stay anchored on the floor. Inhale through center, exhale to the other side. You can let your head go the opposite direction of the legs or the same. Explore what works for you. Traditionally in the series, it goes the same, but I've also had it where I move it the opposite direction. Okay, notice that you're not pulling your back ribs, the lower ribs, off the floor. So you want to knit those ribs together, allow the thighs to stay as close as you can towards the torso. Okay, explore those S breaths or SH breaths for you. I'm just going to let them go for now, just so that you can see the movement, but each time you exhale to each side, inhale to center, exhale. Beautiful, one more time to each side. And then we're going to come back into center. You're going to release the block just for a moment, shake out the legs, okay, come down, and then place the block back in between the thighs. Feet are hip width apart, comfortable distance from the hips. So I kind of find that about a foot to a foot and a half away. You don't want to be too close that you're kind of jamming the pelvis, but you don't want to be too far away that you don't feel the integrity of the feet. We are going to be going up into bridge in a moment. We're going to allow the palms to face up. You're going to root the feet into the floor, gently gather the block, as if you're going to pull the block up into the pelvis. As you exhale, you're going to gently let your hands come into a fist and do the S sound. Inhale, open the palms of the hands, release the pressing of the feet, release the squeezing of the block. And each time you exhale, root the feet, gently gather the block. Imagine that you're pulling the block up towards your belly. Gently squeeze the palm of your hand to help to gather the pelvic floor. You can use the S sound. So this is when you can move the block. You can try it closest to the pelvic floor. You can try it in the inner thigh. You can try it in between the inner knees, just to explore where the block needs to be for you, so that you can feel where it is that helps you gather and feel this inner lift. So this might be different for each person that you work with. One more time. Beautiful. You're going to bring your legs up towards you, not to strain the neck. You're going to take your block and just place it underneath the pelvis. Okay, so make sure that the block is this way, so it's on your second height. Beautiful. I'm just going to scoot down a little bit. Okay, arms are down by your side, palms facing down. So we're just creating a little height just to feel the softening through the shoulder girdle. We can feel the shoulders roll back and down, this little external rotation. Palms are down. We're going to do one SH breath. Feel the knitting of the ribs. As you inhale, bringing the arms up. And as you exhale overhead, allow that SH breath to come. And you might not touch the floor with the block there. It makes it a little bit easier to touch. Inhale up. And exhale back down. So we're going to flow here a couple times. Inhale. SH breath overhead. Inhale up. And exhale down. One more time. One last time as you inhale up, exhale overhead, inhale up, and then you're going to exhale and allow the palms to face one another and let your triceps and your elbows root down into the floor. This is going to start to engage the lower traps a little bit more and your your tricep muscle. And your tricep muscle helps to draw the humerus down into the socket. It also helps to create a little external rotation. So if you're kind of folded forward and you've got a really tight chest, or you're working with someone, starting to get them to work on activating their tricep a little bit more. And as you root down and you root into the feet, you might even feel the pelvis lift up. Feel that you're kind of reaching energy off the thighs. Okay, the glute maximus muscle is not overly engaged, so you shouldn't feel a complete squeezing of the buttocks. You should feel the muscles underneath activating. Just take a couple more breaths here just to really feel this. Let the elbows and the triceps really press down into the floor. Good, and then you're going to release down, release the arms, press down into the feet, lift up. Okay, bring the legs up into the body. We're just going to release the diaphragm and the thoracic spine before we come up onto our hands and knees. And so this is also from the tensegrity repair series, which helps to hydrate the fascia. And it's really important after we've had an injury in the shoulder girdle or anywhere in the body that we're rehydrating the fascia, because the fascia is the first thing that knits and creates this kind of ununiformed web around the injury site. So after, when we're working through the injury and we're rehabilitating, we need to make sure that we're releasing and hydrating and releasing this kind of spiderweb knitting of the fascia that's happened there. So you're going to bring the hands together in Hakini Mudra. Okay, so that means the palms of the hands are apart and just the pads of the fingers are touching. This mudra is really good for balancing the whole energetic body. You're going to bend your elbows, okay? And you're going to send a little bit of energy, of reaching energy through your triceps and your elbows. Sometimes placing a block in between the inner thighs is helpful here. Okay, and then you're going to allow the arms to extend overhead, but keep the knitting of the rib cage. So I tend to exhale here and inhale as the elbows widen back to heart center. Exhale overhead. SH sound. Inhale coming back. Elbows widen. This is called cobra hood. This releases the diaphragm. And one more time. Good, you're going to come up. Equal leaning through all the pads of the fingers and the thumb. Palms of the hands are still open in Hakini Mudra. Arms are extended here. Shoulder blades are anchoring back, so little bend to the elbows. The next one's called chopping wood. So this releases the part of the thoracic spine, so the middle upper part. Okay, so it is as it sounds. You do a chopping wood down. You come up to heart center, maybe a little bit overhead. So I tend to always exhale as I go overhead, just to help the knitting. Just let your breath find its own rhythm, but think of your integrity here. Feel free to bring the SH breath in. I'm just going to do one or two more movements of this chopping wood. Beautiful. Relax, pause, notice how you feel. Okay, we're going to roll over onto one side. Rest there for a moment. You're going to push your hand down, you're going to come up. So we're going to come up onto our hands and knees. So I just want you to have your strap close by. Okay, so we're going to use it in a moment, but I just want you to have it close by. So noticing if being on your hands is not comfortable for you and it hurts the wrist, then please go down onto your forearms. Okay, so you want to take a moment just to line your hands up so that the wrists are underneath the shoulders. So the fingers are going to be in front of the shoulders. And then the knees are under the hips. Okay, you can have the top of the feet pressing down or the toes tucking under. So you want to take all the pads of the fingers and root them into the mat. You also want to feel this mound here, which is the index finger mound here. This one tends to lift up off the floor. So you want to try to push this down into the mat, and also the pinky one, and then the base of the wrist. Okay, so this will help to create space. When you press into the pads of the fingers, you might also feel the length of the finger come off or create kind of like a little bridge. That's fine, but try to keep the mound of the index finger on the mat or towards the mat. For some of you that might not touch. Okay, so there's a rooting down in integrity. You're going to exhale, you're going to relax the head down. Now we're going to do a spinal wave. So you're going to start from your tailbone, you're going to allow the tailbone to start to lift, the front of the spine through the lumbar, evenly opening. Try not to let the ribs flare. Let the thoracic spine open, the neck, and the head is the last to rise. So notice that you're not pulling the gaze up really high, you're just letting the gaze come easily, so the eyes should stay relaxed. And then the tailbone starts the movement again. As you exhale, you roll through the spine into the spinal wave, pushing the floor away through the hands, the shins, the feet. Head is the last to move, starting at the tailbone again, slowly feeling this nice curve. Noticing that sometimes if you go too much, right, we start to flare the ribs. So I want you to keep connected into the ribs. One more round here. And then as you come back to a neutral spine, we're going to do a little bit of shoulder blade squeezing just to release the shoulder blades. Sometimes our shoulder blades get stuck. Okay, it might be one or the other one. Okay, so what you're going to do is as you exhale, you're going to squeeze the shoulder blades together, so squeeze them towards the spine. Okay, and as you inhale, sorry, I had that breath mixed up, hold on. Sorry, as you inhale, you're going to squeeze the shoulder blades together as the chest opens, and then as you exhale, you're going to widen the shoulder blades, drawing them apart. Inhale, squeezing the shoulder blades, keeping them anchored down your back towards the spine. So retraction, okay, and then drawing the shoulder blades apart from the spine is protraction. Inhale, squeezing towards the spine. Releasing the rhomboids, okay, and then letting the shoulder blades widen away from the spine as you exhale. Okay, and then just release back, let the hips settle back first, let the arms release, do a few wrist circles, opening and closing. Some of the some of the wrist release moves that we use in this workshop are just kind of letting the arms just kind of relax and then letting the hands just kind of flop here. We call this doggy pause. So you're just kind of letting like a reverberation. You're not trying to control it. You're just letting them go. Okay? And then you can turn the palms up and then just letting them go. So sometimes this is easier. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit more about this, a lot more about this on Sunday when we go into the wrist, but depending on if your flexor or your extensor muscles are really tight. Okay, so that's doggy pause 1 or 2. The other one is called flick the goo. So you just flick it. Imagine you have goo on the bottom of your fingers and you just flick it away. Okay, that's called flick the goo. Beautiful. Okay, another one is just opening and closing the hands. Okay, so one of the things we're going to go into next is we're going to go into our downward dog. So this is something that we do quite often. We want to make sure that the shoulder blades are wide. This is one of the things when we bring the arms up overhead, we tend to pull the shoulders away from the socket. Okay, so we want to gently bend our elbows, okay, and let the shoulder draw down into the bottom part of the glenoid. Okay, and then our hands, we want to imagine that we have lids. Okay, that we're holding lids and that we're turning the lids out very gently. You can see as I do this, I'll face you. Okay, as I do this, okay, and I turn my lids out, see how the elbows are gathering in? Your elbows have a direct link to the shoulder blades. Okay, so as you feel this kind of gentle turning out of your lids, you'll feel your inner elbows gather a little bit, not too much, okay, but you'll feel your shoulder blades hug towards the spine. So this is really important. Okay, so as we go in, and remember, if this does not feel good and you want to be on your forearms, feel free. Okay, in downward dog, the hands are farther forward. Okay, I like to have my pinkies at the edge of my mat. Take a moment to find that hasta bandha connection with the pads of the fingers, the knuckle of the pinky and the index finger. Tuck the toes under. Okay, relax your head. Just kind of relaxes the nervous system. Inhale into your hands. Exhale, shift the weight back and then start to root through the hands and the feet to allow yourself to come up into your downward dog. Feel free to walk it out if you need to. Okay, and notice the tendency is to have really straight arms, and right now I'm kind of pulling my shoulders out of the socket. So this is when we can create vulnerability in the shoulders if we do this. So we just want to gently let the elbows bend, and you'll feel the ball of the shoulder draw down into the lower part of the shoulder socket, which is the glenoid. Then you're going to gently have that feeling like you're turning the lids of your jar out. Just feel your inner elbows gather slightly. That will draw the shoulder blades towards the spine. Breathe here. Feel this. I just noticed that the mount of my index came up off the floor. So I'm gonna just root it down. Okay, then you're gonna walk your feet back a little bit. Okay, gather the inner legs together. Feel that inner core lifting up through the whole body, this line. And then you're going to exhale, come into plank. Inhale, lift the hips up and back. Okay, exhale, forward into plank. Feel that gentle connection through the hands, the shoulder blades, the ball of the shoulder. Okay, keep your integrity, keep your ribs connected. Use your S sound if you need to. One more time, exhaling. Okay, coming back into downward dog. Pause down into child's pose. Rest here. Let the hips release first. And we're going to do a little doggy pause. Palms down. Doggy pause, palms up. Flicking the goo. Opening and closing. Beautiful. Okay, so we're going to start our prep with our shoulder work now. So you're going to grab your strap. Remember, the tail is at the bottom. Okay, so you're going to put the strap, once again, so it's 1.5 inches to 2 inches above your elbow. I like about 2 inches, but you judge. Okay, we already pre-measured this. So, one last thing. So when you kind of pre-measure this, you're going to find that when you have a very soft fist and you put it down, you can see how my knuckle is kind of touching the inner elbow, just kind of grazing past it. That's a really good alignment. That means that you have a nice alignment. If you're too congested or you're not touching your elbow at all, then that maybe means that your strap is too far apart. Okay, so all you're going to do is interlacing the fingers. So one of the things that when we interlace our fingers, sometimes we do it really tight. The more tension we have in the hands and the wrists, the more tension we feel in the shoulders. So one thing I do is I soften it, and I just let the pinkies kind of touch, just so we lengthen this ulnar line. This connects into the lower part of our rotator cuff muscles, okay, the teres minor and the infraspinatus. This helps to keep the integrity of the shoulder blade as well. So just see if you can maybe keep your pinkies extended. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. Okay, so you're just going to take a moment, really soft hands. Relax the head. Knees under the hips. Toes can be tucked under if you want. You're just going to start to exhale, soften, arrive. Feel the shoulders are over the elbows. Start to root down through this whole side. So through the elbow, the whole side of the forearm, the side of the wrist, the pinky side of the hand. So you're rooting down into the floor. You're rooting out into the strap. Relaxing the head and just breathing here. Feeling that your shoulders are not creeping up by your ears, so you're drawing the shoulder blades up your back because we are a little bit inverted. Okay, and then you're just going to inhale, shift the body forward, and exhale back. So we're going to do that a couple times. Inhale forward, and exhale back. And then shift the breath and try it the other way. Exhale forward, inhale back. Which one helps you to stay with integrity, keeping the forearms rooted down, the leaning out into the strap. Okay, and just pause. When you lie down, I find if the strap is in a nice place, you'll find your forehead will just rest on the strap. I'm going to come back up again. Take a moment to set up. Now, if that felt like enough for you, you're just going to stay there. Those of you that feel good and you feel like you can go a little bit farther, you're going to try to go up into dolphin. So dolphin strengthens so many of the shoulder muscles. It's such an amazing pose. Sometimes we have to build up to it. So that dolphin prep was the first step, and then this is the second step. So you find that awareness. You take a moment to exhale. You just let go into the ground. You start to root down through elbows, forearms, lean out into the strap. Let the head lower if it feels like. Exhale. Find that gathering of the ribs. Root down. Okay, the hips will rise up. Depending on where the strap is, it's on my forehead. You want to keep leaning out into the strap. I'm pushing all the pads of my fingers into each other. Okay, you want to come down and rest. Okay, so just taking a couple more breaths there. Just gonna tuck in my shirt a little bit. Okay, we're gonna go up one more time, and so you might find that you want to use the strap, okay, or you might find that you want to take it out and see if you can go up into it with the feeling of what the strap gives you, okay, that integrity, or you keep it. So whatever goes. I'm gonna release it for now. But you do the same thing so you can kind of check your distance with that soft wrist, soft fist, really gentle hands. Okay, take a moment just to exhale and arrive. Let the shoulders draw down, the shoulder blades draw up your back, root down through the elbows, the forearms, the wrists, the pinky side of the hand. Those of you that have the strap, lean out into the strap. If you don't have the strap, feel that leaning out as if the strap is there. Tuck the toes under. You're either going to stay there or you're going to allow the hips to rise up. I like to bring my hands into just pushing the pads of the fingers together. Okay, you can stay here. Some of you might even inhale, shift the torso forward, exhale back. Okay, this is nice and strengthening. You want to maintain the integrity of your shoulders. If this is too much, you just let it go. Okay, you pause. Just going to do a little side stretch. Come off to the right. Through center, off to the left. Back to center. Beautiful. We are going to rise up and we're going to go into cow face pose. So I like to just do the arms, and you might find that you want to sit on a block or a pillow or have a couple blocks, so whatever you feel. Okay, you can have your sitting on your heels, you can have your heels off to the side in Virasana, so I'm in Hero's pose. So you want to undo your strap. Okay, so I'm going to be shifting around because I'm going to show you the back of my body, but the front of my body as we go through. Okay, so you want to fold the strap in half, pop it over your right shoulder. Okay, so you want to make sure that maybe a little bit, about half of the strap is in the front, half of it is in the back. You might need more in the back because that's what you're going to use to grab hold. Okay, one thing I find in Gomukhasana when I see myself and a lot of students explore this, that we pop the ribcage forward, we anterior tilt the pelvis, which means we rotate it forward to grab hold of the hands behind us. Okay, so I want to explore this with you where we feel that the ribcage is knitted together. Okay, we feel this core, inner core line. The shoulders have integrity. Okay, so we're not thinking too much about where we're going, but how we're creating stability within our body. Okay, so you're going to bring your right arm up. You're going to turn the palm of your hand out and then face it behind you and then allow the hand to come back. So I want you to feel your armpit just soften a little bit. Okay, so just let the ball of the shoulder drop in towards the socket. When you have a soft armpit, that means that you have a really good relationship of the ball of the shoulder in the bottom part of the glenoid of the socket. If it's out, you're going to feel really tightness around your armpit. Okay, then you're going to bring your left hand and just slightly release it up. Okay, releasing the tricep, breathing here. Feeling this inner core line lifting up out of the crown of the head, rooting down, breathing here, knitting the ribs. Beautiful. I'm going to give you a couple more breaths here. I'm going to turn around to show you the other part. Okay, so you're going to bring your left arm out to the side, thumb down. You're going to bring it behind you as you inhale and exhale. Take a moment to just exhale and knit the ribs together in an SH sound. And just find yourself holding the strap with both hands. Don't worry about them touching. You're just going to hold that and breathe here. So when we do Gomukhasana, we're releasing the tricep on the top arm and the anterior part of the deltoid and the front of the chest on the bottom arm. Feeling the elbows starting to point up. Okay, the rib cage is not disturbed, it's quiet. Sometimes you can look up. I just like to keep the head in neutral. Okay, release. Do a few shoulder rolls. Inhale, exhale. Beautiful. Go the other way. Okay, if you need to release in between, just release the legs, shake them out, tap the feet. Do a few ankle circles. Okay. Then you're going to come back. Okay, so we're going to do our other side before we come down and just finish off the class. Okay, so putting the strap over our left shoulder. Okay, so the left arm comes up, palm faces over towards the right shoulder. Okay, then you turn the palm to face the back of the room. Hand comes down towards the shoulder. Relax, soften the armpit. Okay, bring your right hand up to release the tricep up without jutting the ribs forward. So keeping the ribs gathered. Breathing here. Lifting that string of energy up and through the crown of the head as if you're suspended from the ceiling. Shoulders down. Okay, right arm goes out to the side, palm down. Inhale. As you exhale, cross it behind you, your hand grabbing, right hand grabbing the bottom part of the strap, left hand grabbing the upper part. Inhale, exhale, knit the ribs together, maybe using that SH sound. Okay, pause here. Find your comfort level, okay? So just letting yourself back off. We want to find integrity, but we also want to find ease. Okay, in the Yoga Sutras, sthura means steadiness, integrity, and sukha means happiness, joy, or ease. So in our practice, we always want to find that we're just backing off, that exhale to soften so that we can find ease. Release, do a few rules again, going both directions. Beautiful, you're going to release your block. Okay, we're going to swing around. I'm going to lie down. Okay, find conscious rest again. Just let your arms be out to the side, away from your body. So let them float a couple feet away. So I've got some props that are in the way, so I'm just making sure that I have enough space to express through my body, to take up space. Just let your eyes lower or close. My body's asking for a block in between the inner thighs, so I'm just going to offer it that. You might feel more comfortable with the legs straight, but just take a moment just to come back where we started. Noticing your diaphragm breath, your three-part breath or your radiant breath. Just tap into the movement of your diaphragm as you breathe, receiving the inhale. Diaphragm lowers down, body expands three-dimensionally with ease. And as you exhale, the diaphragm lifts back up, the ribcage gathers. Relax your jaw. You might need to move it around, wiggle it around. Let go. Let go again. And let go into Mother Earth. Coming back into your heart center, Anahata, the fourth chakra. Just taking a moment to come back if you created a sankalpa, or if you just noticed gratitude, or if you were feeling love, or whatever needs to come in for this moment. But just take a moment to rest in your heart center. You might feel your heart muscle. Offer gratitude and thanks to your body for allowing you to practice and explore and learn and grow. Relax any tension in your hand, fingers, wrist, shoulders. So we take one more minute here. Letting your fingers start to wiggle, noticing your breath, feeling your body in relationship with the earth. If you have a block or a bolster, just remove it. Allow a little stretch if you need to. Take a moment to roll over onto your side, rest there. Use your top arm hand to press into the floor and come up. So I'm just going to sit in Sukhasana, easy pose, cross-legged, but feel free to notice if you want to sit in a different pose. If you need a little support, then feel free to grab it. I always like to lean over and just find that sweeping action from the back of the thigh up over the pelvis, just to lift the pelvis. A lot of the time our pelvis is not in neutral. So it's really important that we find a neutral pelvis because this really affects on how the shoulders sit on top of the pelvis. So if the pelvis is not in neutral, then the shoulder girdle will have a very hard time finding neutral as well. Just let the hands rest palm down, which is grounding, palms up if you feel a little bit more uplifted. Whatever energy you feel you want to bring in. Let the eyes settle or close if they wish. Feel that rooting down through the sit bones and a little lifting up through that center line of core support out the crown of the head. Shoulders are relaxed, elbows heavy as if they have little weights on them. As your eyes softly open, hands come to heart center and Anjali Mudra if you wish. I thank you all for exploring through this asana class on finding our core and creating integrity and awareness in our shoulder girdle and noticing how the body is connected as a whole. Deep honoring for the lineage of all the teachings. So feel free, if you have any questions at this time, to write them down so that you can bring them into the workshop and we can have a discussion around this on the Friday night. We will do a mini practice on the Friday night that will expand on this practice that we've already done. Thank you.